Welcome to Biz Wire. I'm Neil Jones in Beijing. A best-selling author and president of the Foundation on Economic Trends spent 2 weeks in China laying out his vision of a post-petroleum, internet-connected world. China's policymakers first noticed Jeremy Rifkin late last year after the official Xinhua news agency reported that Premier Li Keqiang was a fan of his writings. In fact, Li instructed top economic planning and strategy officials to read Rifkin's books. His latest book is entitled The Third Industrial Revolution: How Lateral Power is Transforming Energy, the Economy, and the World. That book sold 300,000 copies in China. Rifkin predicts in that book a future where renewable energy replaces fossil fuels, power is produced individually on millions of buildings on every continent, and transportation is converted to electric plug-in and fuel cell vehicles. Surplus energy will be exchanged over the internet, cutting waste and boosting economic productivity. The second industrial revolution is clearly fading. Fossil fuel energies have matured, and they are getting more expensive. And the global markets for fossil fuels are completely volatile. Complicating the problem are the world's 5-year cycles of growth and slowdown. It started last when oil hit $147 a barrel in July of 2008. And what happened is purchasing power shut down all over the world because everything relies on oil. That was the earthquake and the shutdown in the global economy in 2008. The collapse of the financial markets 60 days later was the aftershock. Since then, the developing world has entered the game with a third of the human race. So he says every time we try to replenish inventories, we grow. And when we hit that zone of $122 to $140 per barrel, the price of oil forces all other prices up and purchasing power drops. So we are in a second slowdown right now. He says we need a new economic vision for the world, and it has to be compelling and a game plan that is deliverable. And it has to move as quickly as in the developing countries as in the developed nations. He explains we have to be off carbon in 30 years. He calls climate change the elephant and says the situation is looking very dire. Renewable energies are found everywhere: the sun, the wind, heat under the ground, biomass, the ocean tides and waves. All of these energies are found in some frequency in every square inch of the planet. He calls coal, gas, or uranium elite, which require huge military and geopolitical investments and a lot of capital. Rifkin says 10 years from now, we will have tens of millions of buildings around the world producing some small amount of green electricity. And in 20 years, we will have several hundred million buildings, and China will be the big player with Europe in this. As the technology scales in for renewable, he explains it's getting cheaper and cheaper, and it's following a similar build-out as computers and cell phones in becoming more affordable. He says once the technology is installed, the sun and wind are free. So is the heat under the ground from geothermal heat power. China has a number of agendas. China has to come up with a new economic reform plan under the new leadership. Secondly, it has to urbanize the country. Third, it has to bring Western China up to par with its eastern part. And finally, it has to deal with the pollution that is literally killing its people. He says to create a good Chinese dream, a phrase popularized by Party Secretary Xi Jinping for everyone, China has to knock out fossil fuels because they are killing off the country. And China is now the largest emitter of greenhouse gases. You're watching Biz Wire on Blue Ocean Network. All of our stories can be seen on our website, BONTV/biz-wire. In just a second, we'll continue with more insight into the big picture of China's economy.